Hey guys, welcome to the Introvert Dating Success Show. I'm your host, HarryWilmington, coming to you live from my brand new apartment. If you're watching this video, you can see my background's changed. So I recently moved and upgraded to a bigger and better apartment here in sunny California, and I couldn't be happier. And so had to set up the studio and be able to give you guys another great show. I'm still working on the acoustics, so let me know if it sounds good to you guys or not. But yeah, this is the new setup, and I look forward to being able to share it with you as I do more of these shows. But anyway, you're not here for that. You're here for some advice. And so today, we got a question from a guy that wants to know if it's going a little bit too slow with a woman that he met on online dating. They've been texting and only texting. He has yet to get her on a date. She seems to want to wait it out a little bit. And so he's starting to meet other women, but he's kind of being held back by this situation because he wants to meet this one girl in person and he doesn't know how to handle the situation. And this is a situation, by the way, that you may come across in your online dating travels, or say you meet a woman in a party and you guys exchange numbers and then all you seem to be doing with her is texting back and forth nonstop. And this is a situation you can find yourself in that can be hard to get out of because you want to be respectful of the woman's journey and her being comfortable with meeting you, but also there's a thing of like, but at some point you want to meet up with her. Why isn't she doing it? And by the way, this is the kind of subject and topic that I handle in my program, the Introvert Dating Success Academy, amongst a myriad of other situations that may come up when you're dating. So if you're having situations where you're trying to date, but you're not quite making the right moves, you're not being able to get the women that you want, and other various things, you can check out that program at the website, introvertdatingsuccess.com. Click the programs tag, click on the huge sales page that you'll see for the program. And if you think that it's something that you would gel with between the 12 weeks of phone coaching as well as the 12 videos that come with it to help establish the dating patterns you need to be following to effectively attract women, then consider filling out the form there and applying, and we can set up a phone call to see if you would match this program. All right. Also, if you guys have any questions that you want answered on this show, you can write to me at harrywilmington@gmail.com, or you can leave a comment down in the comment section where this video is located at youtube.com/harrywilmington. So let's go ahead and get into this guy's situation. So he says, I'm 33 and I finally hit the dating scene for the first time since my divorce about 2 years ago. Been toying around in the online dating apps as much more of a way to meet people and see if there's any connection. I'm not one who is much for building connection via text, phone, or FaceTime. I'm much more inclined to meet in person and talk, of course, only if she is comfortable with that. Well, that's the whole game plan. And most women on these apps are on there to actually get dates. And I've heard a lot of women complain about how they get on these apps and men just start talking to them and texting them, and then they try to move them to off the app to the texting side of the messages, and then try to do a video call and then a FaceTime chat. And they're doing all this stuff, but they're not quite getting to the actual date portion. So most women on these apps are ready to go on a date after a few messages back and forth. I've had it where I've really sent 1 or 2 messages to women before saying, hey, let's go out. And more often than not, I get the date for that, okay? But let's see what this guy's situation is with this particular woman. So he says, I've met this seemingly wonderful person. Much of the compatibility items are in great order, etc. The challenge here is she needs to take things super slow, which I completely respect, but that also means not meeting in person yet. She has explained that her past has led her to keep her guard up until she's ready and comfortable. Again, I'm fine with that. If anything, I really enjoy the change of pace from my usual dive in and see if there's a spark pattern. So first of all, this guy's lying to himself. What he's doing is he's acquiescing to what the woman is wanting, which is, oh, I don't want to meet up quite yet. For all we know, this could be a catfish situation or it could be a real woman. We don't know, but that's the point of getting a woman off the app as soon as you can, is to meet her in person to see if you guys gel well. Because assuming you guys aren't going to be just texting each other for 30, 40 years, your relationship is going to include meeting up, tactilely seeing each other, and being able to decide if you guys have a chemistry and bond based on your actual interaction, not just your texting interaction. And so the fact that she's saying things like, oh, well, my past let me keep my guard up, that would be understandable if the guy was like, hey, I want to meet up with you at my place, bring some alcohol and some condoms, we're going to have a good time. I can understand her guard being up for that, but her guard being up for a date as mundane as, hey, let's meet up for drinks, let's meet up for dinner in a public place where we can get to know each other in front of other people, so it's not just us alone. Like, that's where I have a problem with her logic of this, because what this basically means is that she's really looking more for a pen pal and wasting this guy's time, or she could not find him all that attractive, but maybe she likes the attention. She likes being able to have somebody to talk to on the texting apps. And trust me, if you're a single person, it can get really lonely and it can be very easy to want somebody just to talk to, even if you don't actually like them enough to meet up with them. And so as a guy, you can't let yourself fall into that pattern. So if a woman's trying to lead you down the path of, I don't want to meet up in person, I just want to talk, you have to cut that off. You have to either say, hey, I want to meet up with you in person, but you know what? If you don't feel like that, that's fine. Hit me up again when you do. Or hopefully you can, talk to her enough to where she's finally like, okay, you know what? I'm being silly. Let me go out with this guy. All right. Continuing, he says, the biggest challenge is we are stuck on texting, albeit when we are connecting, it can be fairly deep conversation topics, which are great. All right, guys. So I need you to understand something very important. Okay. Is that amongst other men, we don't typically get into a lot of our deeper interconnected lives right off the bat with any guy we know. Like I've had friends that are male friends of mine that I've known for like 10, 20 years, and we rarely talk about really deep stuff. But I know I can go to them and do that, but that's based off of we've had a years-long connection to where I built that up, okay? Women are not quite the same way, because women from day one are more often than not trying to bond with other women by way of connecting, by way of talking about things. And so because they typically tend to be a lot more open than guys, they can have conversations that to us sound really deep, that to them are just normal conversations they'd have with any other woman. So the problem comes when you as a guy are hearing her talk about stuff that you as a guy wouldn't be revealing right away to another guy that you just met. And so you're thinking by default of that, oh, this must mean that she's getting really deep, therefore she must already trust me and is already building feelings. And for her, that's not really the experience. True story. I remember one time when my cousin first moved to California, she'd be talking to me about some stuff that happened to her at her job or some feelings she was having. And I thought that it was just really cool of her to be able to come to her bigger cousin and talk about these deep issues that she wasn't talking about with anybody else. At least that's what I thought. Kind of find out, by the time she had the conversation with me, she'd had the conversation with her mom, possibly with her brother, possibly with my mom. Like she had gone through like 3 or 4 other people in the family before she came to me. And I'm like, I thought this was a deep conversation. And to me it was, but to her, it was just an excuse to be able to talk. So again, you got to recognize that, because I don't want you to mistake a woman having high interest in you with her ability to be able to have deep conversations with you, or things that you're interpreting as deep conversations. Because trust me, you'll know when a woman's really bonded with you when she goes so deep that she hasn't told other people the things she's telling you about. But for the most part, women are usually opening up pretty much to a lot of people, so don't read that as the thing, all right? It's good if she's doing it, but that's not the only signal you need to be taking as an indicator of her interest. Anyway, continuing, he says, I get nervous about developing any sort of feelings for a texting partner. She is a super distant texter, maybe a few a day at most, and only in the evening, and mostly initiated by me. So what this guy's doing is what? He is being that guy that is over texting. He's constantly one of the first reach out. And more importantly, he has this thought in his head that with this particular woman, he needs to be, in lieu of going out on a date with her, he needs to really build up a whole lot of rapport with her on text in order to build up her interest. But in the meantime, what is she displaying back? She's not texting most of the day. She's texting back a few times in the evening, and even then she's never initiating it, which she probably isn't at this point because she just knows that this guy's going to initiate it, so boo on him. But yeah, this is showing you guys that this is why I tell you guys, texting kills attraction, and it should only be used to ask women out on dates. Because what I've learned in my travels is that most women actually don't want to be texting all day. Most women don't, even a guy that they're highly attracted to, when the guy's not around, they're doing other things. And so you trying to text her all the time can result in you interrupting other things that she's doing, which can actually make her annoyed. Plus, it starts to feel like it's almost like this thing of it's not a relationship yet, but by you texting so much, you're basically saying, I already feel like we're in a relationship, which is now making her feel like she's forced to feel things for you on a deeper level when she's not quite there yet, okay? So stick to only texting when you're trying to set up a date. Continuing, he says, I did discuss my texting patterns and frequency with her and asked her if I ever am in too much contact or if she needs space to feel more than free to I can't. This guy's writing weird. If I'm in too much contact or she needs space to feel more than free to tell me to back off. to which she told me it's been perfect and asked if her pace is okay. Of course it is. She profusely apologizes when she takes a break from texting me back, which is reassuring, but at the same time, I don't need an apology. We're 30 plus years old and have our own lives. Exactly, you have your own lives. So when she's not around you, she's trying to live her own life. She's not trying to stop that life to text you. But more to the point, this thing right here where he says, hey, if you're bugged by me texting you, just tell me and I won't be offended, I promise. One, that sounds like needy behavior, but more importantly, when a woman hears that, she's going to think this guy's lying. If I tell him that I'm bugged by his texting, he's going to think I'm not attracted to him. He's going to start crying or he's going to start being like, well, that shouldn't be a thing. I really like you. And what's going on? I'm just not trying to play games, yada, yada, yada. And so many people fall for that trap of like, hey, just tell me what you feel and I'll be totally fine with it. Because the reality is the fact that this guy's even mentioning that to her should let him subconsciously know that he's doing it too much. If you have to bring up, hey, let me know if I'm doing this thing too much, more often than not, you know subconsciously that you're doing that thing too much. For some reason, you're trying to get validation for that, but she's not going to want to do that because if she's not trying to look like a B word, if she's not trying to look like that woman that's hard to but difficult to deal with, then she would never tell you that no matter how much you ask her. So if you're feeling it, just stop. Just stop texting her and just do it sporadically when you're trying to ask her on dates, all right? Continuing, he says, it's been a couple of days and no contact, which makes me want to reach out. But again, I'm really trying to respect her and her pace and not pushing anything. I feel like I'm in a tough place taking this slow as I'm starting to connect with others as well. And with our talking frequency, it's going to take a long time to build a base level of comfort to get past the digital communication phase. I don't want to be pushy, but at the same time, she's pretty rad, and I don't want things to go flat like they can when you're just talking. All right, dude, so real talk. You do not know if this girl is rad. You have heard her talk to you and respond to you on texting, and that's it, okay? You have to think of online dating and texting as like a virtual simulator, okay? You're putting things out there via text and hoping to get certain kinds of responses. And so the responses you get, you're thinking this means that, okay, you're building up towards something. And that's perfectly fine. But the thing is, the end game of that should be with this simulator, the end result is going to be, I'm going to get her on a date, okay? So if you're not getting the date, then all you're doing is being stuck in the simulator, in the simulator, and more importantly, you're losing the game, okay? So until she actually meets with you in person to where you can connect with her one-on-one and be able to actually see how rad she is in person, you don't need to attribute any kind of verb to her or adjective to describe her, okay? Because texting is all for naught. Again, the texting that she's doing to you, she could be texting to 10 other guys on this app, okay? The only thing that matters is actually getting her on the realistic date. Until then, you adding words like, she's rad, she's cool, she's awesome. Well, that's your fantasy of her, but you don't actually know her. You have not met her yet, and until you do, it's all for naught, okay? Continuing, he says, what's the call here? Do I just wait for her to reach out? No, you say, hey, I want to take you on a date. And then she'll either say she wants to go or give some excuse as to why she can't go, at which point you say, okay, great. Well, then when you're ready, then reach out. That's it. And you go on to the other women that you're talking to and try to get them on dates as well. And hopefully they'll say yes to your date request. He says, I feel like any more initiation out of me is going to feel needy or overwhelming. Well, it's going to be unwanted. The fact that she's not texting you first at times should give you the signal that she's not really feeling this as much as you're feeling her. Continuing, he says, how long do I go? You don't. You stop. Do I just stay patient? Anything good isn't going to be easy. That's not true. In dating, women that like you help you. Women that want to go on a date with you will hint and push towards a date. Or when you start mentioning stuff, they'll say, oh, that'd be a cool thing to do together. And then you ask for the date, okay? But women aren't on apps to give guys a hard time about taking them out. Like, if you have a good enough rapport, you've talked to her for really like 2 or 3 days, and things seem to be flowing pretty well, then you say, hey, we should finish this conversation in person or continue it in person. Let's meet up for a date. It's really not hard, okay? If it seems hard, it just means that woman's not as interested in you as you thought she was, and you need to move on to the next one. Continuing, he says, I don't know if talking all of this out with her will seem overwhelming or too much either. So guys, let me just settle something for you guys, okay? You cannot logic your way into a woman's heart, meaning you trying to explain to her, well, this is why I text you so much, and this is why I respect it back, and this is all the reasons I want to take you out, and I think that we just meet up. Like, none of that matters. All that matters is, how does she feel about you based on your texting conversation. If she feels good and there's a vibe there, then she will say yes to the date. If not, no amount of trying to talk to her or convince her is going to make her go out. If anything, it's going to make you seem pushy and needy and desperate, which is going to make you less attractive to her. And yeah, she may continue to talk to you, but she's not going to be more motivated to go out on a date with you when you do all that. Continuing, he says, it's so weird. I feel like I'm chasing this person because it's so far out of my norm and I love different and challenging things. But this shouldn't be one of those things. Like, getting a woman on a date shouldn't be the challenge. Being able to keep her attraction and interest past date one, that's more of the challenging part. And that's the stuff that we deal with extensively in the Introvert Dating Success Academy is once you get that first date, what kind of first date do you take her on that's going to build interest and hype her up to where she wants to go on multiple dates with you? But getting the date shouldn't be hard, all right? Continuing, he says, meanwhile, I have other wonderful women that I'm interested in that are so easy to talk to and meet up with. Yes, and I say, go after them. And when you do, again, there's a right way and a wrong way to be able to ask them out, and we handle that in the Introvert Dating Success Academy, but it's really not hard to get women on dates, guys. I found most women on online dating aren't getting dates because guys aren't asking, and then when you come across women like this that are being wishy-washy, there's a whole sea full of other women that are out there that'll say yes. So if you're talking to 5 women and one of them's giving you a difficult time, who cares? You got 4 of the women you're talking to, so just focus on them and don't focus on the one woman that wants to be difficult to get on a date. Because again, it's really not that hard, all right? So hopefully this helps you guys out. For more of these shows, check out the podcast on Apple, Spotify, wherever podcasts can be found. And of course, you can go to introvertdatingsuccess.com to check out the Introvert Dating Success Academy. Again, it's a 12-week coaching program. By the end of 3 months, you will know how to meet, greet, attract, date, land, and consistently build up the interest of the woman of your dreams. If there's something that interests you, go to the website, check out the sales page. If you like what you see and think you can afford it, then apply for it today, and we can set up a time to have a consultation about what this would mean for you and your dating life, all right? Be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel at youtube.com/HarryWilmington. And if you have any questions you want answered on one of these shows, you can write to me at HarryWilmington@gmail.com, or you can leave a comment down below if you're watching the video, all right? That's all I got for today. I'm Harry Wilmington, and I will catch you guys on the next show. Thanks for watching, and I'm out. Peace.